We're recording. Hold on. I couldn't see. Off to a good start. Mayday. Okay. Well, hello, Shiver Seekers. Are you ready to follow us into the unknown? I'm Cynthia. Sorry. Let me, hold on. Cut, take. Let me do that again. Hello, Shiver Seekers. Are you ready to follow us into the unknown? I'm Cynthia.
And I'm Stephanie. You found the dark oak.
And today I'm going to tell you all about the disappearance of Ben Tyner.
Oh, I don't think I've heard this one.
I hadn't heard of it either. Other than like little Reddit threads here and there, I'd heard somebody talking about his case, but I wasn't familiar with it, so.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to The Dark Oak, the mystery podcast with purpose. Each month through our charity, the Branch of Hope Foundation, we give a portion of our earnings to a non-profit that we support every month. To find out more, you can head to our website, you can head to our Instagram account, The Dark Oak Podcast, or you can stay until the end of this episode to hear all those little details about how we help to try to make our world a better place. A little bit at a time.
That's right. And we're having a blast doing it.
Yep. Meeting so many cool people.
We really are. I've been super excited to, I've just had so much fun talking to some of our Patreon members recently. So that's really fun. And speaking of Patreon, Stephanie, do you want to share the big exciting announcement for our Patreon members?
It's happening. I finally committed. So in my quest to be more self-sufficient, self-reliant, I've been noting people around me, friends, acquaintances, anyone that has any kind of skill. And I tell you, you have to teach me that skill. So I have a wonderful next door neighbor who is an excellent quilter. And so I have been taking lessons from her, and I can make a quilt now. An actual quilt.
That's amazing.
And it does not fall apart. It doesn't fall apart.
It doesn't even
it
fall
actually keeps you
apart?
warm.
Okay. I mean, I didn't have that high of hopes. I just thought the piecing it together was enough. It stays together.
It stays together and keeps you warm. And
Congratulations.
looks pretty nice. That's the most important part. So here's why that's important to this podcast. I have decided that we are going to give out one of the coolest giveaways. You know, we love some giveaways. We love some givvies here on the Dark Oak. I am going to give to one of our Patreon members in the month of October, or as we call it, Oaktober, a hand-crafted, hand-sewn, hand-quilted, beautiful Edgar Allan Poe inspired throw quilt. Designed by yours truly. So we've got Edgar Allan Poe. We've got a raven. We've got the poem, The Raven. We've got some skeletons. There's black cats. There's some bats. And it's all in like black and like muted oranges. It is chef's kiss. So we're going to post some pictures on it as soon as it's completed. I'm actually piecing it together now. And so, I don't know, all the quilting knowledge. So we piece together the front, and then you've got to quilt the whole thing where you attach all the pieces together. And I'm going to take a picture of that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be done in about a week and a half. So it may be done a little before October so that we can post it. But we will post all the pictures all through October. Now, how do you get this quilt?
Big question.
You've got to be a part of our Patreon. You have to be a part of our Patreon. If you are a $5 Patreon member, if you're on our $5 tier, you automatically get one entry into the giveaway. If you are one of our $10 tier members, which by the way, you get a personalized video from Cynthia and I. So if you sign up for that, you'll get a personalized video from Cynthia and I. Our library of content, which we've got quite a few episodes out there, and you also get an additional episode a month, and we're going to have a bonus episode in September, so that's pretty exciting. So you get all of those, and you get 2 entries into the quilt, and we wanted to give you an opportunity for a bonus. So if you refer someone to our Patreon, and they mention you when they sign up, both you and they. I don't know if that's correct pronoun usage, but you guys get the idea. Each of you get an additional entry into the giveaway. So you have potential of giving 3 entries into this quilt giveaway. And trust me, you're going to want this quilt. This is it. This is a quilt. And it is kind of the Halloween-y, spooky vibes. But if you kind of love that like dark, gothic, moody look, like you're going to want this out all year long.
Oh,
Like this is the quilt.
Edgar
Yeah.
Allan Poe is always in fashion, as are beautiful quilts. I mean, come on.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I am considering joining our Patreon just for the chance to win the quilt. Maybe we should get like, maybe we should just get entries. I mean, we're part of the Patreon, right? Like, okay,
Well,
fine, no,
I was
fine.
going to say, Patreon members, you should know how important this is because it is true. Cynthia hasn't even gotten her own quilt from me yet. I mean, I know it's coming. It's in the lineup, but they're in high demand. So I'm pulling off of my busy quilting schedule to piece together this custom giveaway. No, I don't know of any other Patreons that are giving away some handmade Edgar Allan Poe inspired quilts. So if
Especially
you find that podcast, you let me know. If you find that podcast that's also giving away handmade quilts, I want to know about it.
especially a quilt made by the podcast host. Like, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. So I basically have 2 talents: mediocre podcaster and slightly above mediocre quilter. And I'm exploiting both of those talents.
Hey, it stays together. I think that's it's better than any quilt I ever made would do.
Honestly,
Sure.
guys, it's really cute. And as soon as I get it done, I'm going to post some pictures. It's a really fun design and I'm having a lot of fun making it. And I'm going to have a lot of fun sending it to one of you. So if you want in the quilt giveaway, join our Patreon and you automatically are entered. And we'll give you more information over on our Patreon page. And we'll continue to update on our social media. And you're going to hear about this the next few weeks as well. So we can make sure everybody's aware of this fun givey.
That's right. That's right. And I guess technically we'll allow, correct me if I'm wrong, we're making this up on the spot, but we'll allow entries up until the drawing. So if you're a Patreon member, by the end of October, when we do the draw, you will have the appropriate amount of entries.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Perfect.
That's right. So if you hear this, you basically have 7 weeks to get it all together.
From today. But
So you've
even
got a
if
little
you
time.
hear
Yeah.
this the week before Halloween, if we haven't done that drawing yet, you still have time to join our
right.
Patreon. Very
That's right.
exciting.
We'll announce the drawing. I don't really know how the dates fall, so I'm not going to say we're going to do it on October 31st because maybe that's like a weird like weekday or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but we're going to do a fun drawing somewhere on or about Halloween, so the end of October. So you've got time.
Very exciting. And Stephanie, that's not the only exciting thing we have going on. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback about adding our unedited episodes in video form to YouTube. So, listeners, if you weren't aware of, if you're listening to us on audio wherever you listen to your podcast, you are listening to just our standard episode, which would have, any like or uhs or burps or sneezes edited out. But if you want to see what's happening behind the scenes, you can head over to YouTube. And now we're putting our episodes up and it's just raw video footage. Whatever happens, happens. And if you're watching on YouTube, you've already seen how I flubbed our intro. So it's real over there. It's real over there. So that's exciting. We've gotten a lot of fun feedback about that.
Yeah. And it's good for us too. I think it's another way for us to be able to connect, with our listeners, with our Patreon members, with just our general, just listeners and now viewers.
That's
to connect, really how I just want to encompass it and say our Dark Oak family.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So now you guys can see our talking heads.
There you go.
And our real reactions to these cases. We've said it before, but even, if you're just listening on audio, we don't discuss these before they're presented to either one of us. Sometimes we'll have a case that one of us happens to already be familiar with, but it's not one that we've researched or looked into before coming in to record. So you're really getting real, true reactions from either of us. Sometimes putting a facial expression to the reaction is pretty fun too. So if you're on YouTube, you're going to get that as well.
That's right. I've recently been asked a couple of times, are your interactions and interjections scripted? And the answer is no. The person presenting is, of course, familiar with a case and has an outline or a script, whatever, we follow. But whatever the other person says, that's all organic. And that conversation is completely, it's whatever comes out. So it makes it fun and exciting for both of us.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting too, because I know each of us have listened to cases where we had formed an opinion at the beginning of the case, but then by the end of the case, we had changed our minds depending on what information was presented. So those are always fun too,
Right.
because there are real reactions. We're thinking, okay, I think we're leaning one way, but then there's something else, some new piece of evidence or something changes that then makes us rethink what we originally our original train of thought. So yeah, it's fun.
Right. Now, I'm excited to share today's case with Stephanie and with all of our listeners because, first of all, today's case is relatively recent. This disappearance happened in 2019. So conceivably, there's still a chance perhaps this person might be found.
Yeah, that's what, 6 years ago now?
Right. There's potential that we could get answers, which is, of course, the goal. It's a missing persons case, which Stephanie and I have said many times. Those are the ones that really...
Cat alert. Hang on a minute.
I hear the bumping of the mic. Sorry, YouTube. There's the first of many real moments.
So where I record, my cats love to hide. There's all kinds of little hidey holes and shelves and things. And I have one particularly sweet cat that gets kind of bullied by the other cats. And so she always emerges only after we're set in and fully recording. So she may make another appearance, but she's gone back on the shelf for now.
Okay. Well, Stephanie and I have discussed how these missing person cases are the ones that really, get our brains itching. Because how can a person just disappear with nothing, no sign as to where they may have gone? But today's episode is especially interesting to me because, as we learned in the Bloody Benders case, I'm a cowboy at heart.
That episode was so fun.
Stephanie learned something about her bestie that she wasn't familiar with. I have, never driven cattle. I have ridden horses. But I think I would do really well as a cowboy. And today's episode is about a real life cowboy. So let me get into it and tell you all about Ben Tyler. Stop laughing. I would be a great cowboy.
Except for, the heat, the dirt, the cows, everything else for sure. Yeah, definitely.
I think I would like the chaps. I think those are kind of sexy. And the hat?
We're gonna whittle it down to the costume.
Well, of course.
Not the actual activity, just the costume.
And the horse.
Depending on the horse. She's like, I prefer a unicorn. But, horse, whatever.
Pegasus, actually. A Pegasus.
A Pegasus. Yeah. See, now the truth comes out.
Anyway. Let me tell you all about Ben Tyner. So Ben Tyner was born on August 25th, 1987, here in Florida, to parents Richard and Jennifer Tyner. And Ben was the oldest of two boys. His younger brother was named Jack. I love that name, Jack. The Tyner family was wonderful. They were happy. They were close. And after spending the first 12 years of his life here in Florida, in 1999, Ben's parents bought a cattle ranch in Wyoming So the family moved west, and Ben spent the rest of his childhood living the cowboy lifestyle.
Okay, that's a big change. Florida to Wyoming.
And once again, things are getting real, folks. I was going to keep my kids off YouTube, but here they are. I love you, buddy. Oh, go get daddy. I want mama. Go get daddy. Okay, go get daddy, buddy. I want you so bad. Okay. Cute, though. So cute. Bye,
Good
buddy.
night, buddy.
I love you. Thank you for sharing that. This is why we have to record while they're at school. Okay.
Okay, so what I was saying, Florida to Wyoming, I think there are a few places that are as different, like as Florida and Wyoming. Like literally everything about it is different. Everything.
It really is.
Speak English. I think that's about the only similarity.
Yeah, I have to wonder if there was some kind of connection to Wyoming or cattle farming. I don't know. Perhaps maybe Richard or Jennifer grew up in Wyoming or on a cattle farm. I'm not sure. I know there are still familial connections in and around Kissimmee, Florida, to the Tyner family, but I assume there was something that took them out there. But that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to
All right.
have their own cattle ranch. And when I say Ben literally spent his childhood, doing the cowboy thing, I mean that quite literally. He spent his entire life riding horses, working with dogs, driving cattle. After Ben graduated from Cheyenne Central High School, he began studying animal production at Tarleton State University in Texas. And after college, he made cowboying his career. He worked at the San Cristobal Ranch in New Mexico and the Square Butt Grazing Association in Montana. In 2011, Ben got a job as the ranch manager at the Bryansk Meat Company in Bryansk Oblast, Russia. I may not be pronouncing that right.
In Russia?
Russia. So he was traveling back and forth from Russia to the States for a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that cool?
Maybe.
Well, okay. So, and this isn't in my script, it's just something I read as I was researching. His mom would later say, he didn't ask us. He just told us he was going to Russia. And, we came back with these questions and he already had, all of the details were set. He had it all figured out. He had a plan. It was set. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to Russia. So I love that. Fearless.
Yeah.
After returning from Russia in 2013, he became the farm manager for the Texas A&M University's agriculture program. And he also worked as a range rider for the Wild Horse Cattle Association in Mackay, Idaho.
I mean, honestly, he sounds really cool.
Oh, he sounds cool. As I was studying, the details of this case, I thought, oh, I would like him.
Yeah, he sounds really cool.
Yeah, I would like him. Excuse me. Now, unfortunately, Ben's father suffered an injury and he had to take a little break from his duties at the family ranch. So Ben worked as the caretaker of his family's Wyoming ranch for a while before finally moving to British Columbia in 2018. And that's where our story is going to take place.
Okay, gotcha.
In addition to being excellent at horsemanship, Ben was also very skilled at leather making and whip making. So he could make his own custom chaps and spurs and whips.
See, that tracks. I get that.
That's very cool. I love a what would that fall under the artisan kind of catalog or handicraft?
Sure, of course. I mean, leather, I don't know if there's a name for like a leather tradesman. There probably is, but yeah, I mean, a leather worker for sure. handmade crafts. I imagine he maybe even dabbled in making like saddles and things like that. I was just thinking about that, like how intricate a saddle is, because it has to be this
Stephanie Flood.
rugged yet. Oh, God, you really got into it.
Okay, I have literally not coughed once, and I don't know how many weeks. Of course, wait till we're live. Wait till there's no edits.
It's okay. We're here for you, girl.
The ship is going down. Okay.
No,
I'm
but I was
sorry.
thinking, about just saddles, like how they need to be comfortable and in some ways delicate. I don't know if that's the right word, but they have to not be harmful to the horse and harmful to the rider at the same time, like incredibly rugged and sturdy and stable. I don't know. I just think all of that stuff is just fascinating. Truly fascinating.
As do I. I just think it's amazing. And beautiful. I bet they were all beautiful.
Yeah.
Ben was also known for being a really cool person, like you suggested, and a really kind person. He was he was always there to help his friends, his family, and his fellow ranchers. Ben loved reading and traveling, and I think you can see that in his career choice. I mean, it's obvious to me Ben liked to learn. He's taken all these different positions, really expanding his knowledge. And you can see how travel seems to be something really important to him. I mean, he literally traveled the world just in his career.
Well, and has lived now in 3 different countries, right?
Right.
Because we've talked about he was in the States, he was in Russia. I mean, I guess that was a temporary position there, but still, I mean,
Years.
months at a time. Yeah, I mean, so Russia, and then now he's in Canada.
Right.
So all over the place.
Right. In 2018, Ben accepted a position as the manager of Nicola Ranch, which was located in a city called Merritt in British Columbia. And for a point of reference, Merritt is about a 3.5-hour drive northeast of Vancouver.
Ooh, so north, 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 north.
North, very north. And it's between 2 rivers, the Nicola River and the Coldwater River. And Merritt has a population of about 8,000 residents. And here's a little trivia for you. I thought this was interesting. I love a little trivia. A lot of movies are shot in Merritt, including an installation in one of my favorite film franchises, Jurassic Park. So, Jurassic World Dominion, which was a terrible movie.
Girl, you want to talk about some terrible Jurassic Park movies? We just watched the worst one. My husband and I finally had a weekend without the kids, like our first one in absolute months, and I'm obsessed with Jurassic Park. I actually love all of them, even the bad ones. I've loved all of them. And I convinced him to buy, like, through a streaming service, Jurassic Park Rebirth.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
It is so bad.
I love you, buddy. You got to go into your room. Okay, here's hamburger. Great. Okay, thank you. I got to record, buddy. Don't come in here anymore, okay? Go to your room. Don't come in here anymore. I'll kiss you goodnight. Love you. I love you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I mean, it's got Scarlett Johansson in it. ScarJo.
Right.
It's gotta be good, right?
And what's
It
his
was
name?
so bad.
Is it Bailey? What's his name? The cutie
I don't
pootie
know.
from Wicked.
It
Jonathan
was
Bailey. No, it was bad.
awful. It's so, and I hate saying that. I was so disappointed. Like, literally when it ended, I said, I think surviving the dinosaurs would have been easier than surviving that movie.
Oh,
The writing,
really?
the dinosaurs, they're like mutant dinosaurs.
Okay.
Like, they're not even real dinosaurs. I mean, they're and the plot is so slow. Oh, and also the plot is like every other plot. Guess who the bad guy is?
Oh,
Guess who the bad guy franchise
is
is?
it whoever's running the show?
Well, and I don't mean like specific bad guy, but just if you could pick one villain industry that seems to be recurring in Jurassic Park, who do you think it would be?
Oh gosh. Isn't it like pharmaceuticals or something?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
it's a
good.
pharmaceutical company.
I was like, I'm a big fan. What if I get this answer wrong?
No, so once again, a pharmaceutical company is trying to harvest dino DNA.
Mm.
I'm like, we we literally couldn't have thought of anything else. Anything. And then they get there and it's like mutant dinosaurs. So it's just a no for me. And I feel like I have less respect for Jurassic Park since seeing it.
So it's worse than all the other really bad ones?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is absolutely worse. I'm even going to say objectively. It is objectively worse than all the other ones.
Wow.
Even the really terrible ones like number 2 and 3. I know they're not called that. I don't remember exactly. Well, no, I think Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah,
That's
Jurassic
the one
Park
with
2 and 3.
pterodactyls, right? Yeah. Those were better.
Well, and I
Those
like
were better.
those. I like those, and I love Jurassic World. But Jurassic World Dominion, I think that was the last one that came out before Rebirth. Was
That one,
horrible.
yeah. So that one, it was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty bad. Rebirth is worse.
Oh man, I gotta see it.
Just gonna say it.
I gotta see it.
I highly disappointed. So we digressed tremendously in this discussion, but I had to get that off my chest. I'm gonna save you all because I paid $30
Oh, okay.
on a streaming service to watch this thing because I think it's still in the theaters. So I paid $30 and it's $30 I'll never get back.
Yeah.
And now I think I've lost my movie picking privileges since I talked Barton into watching it.
Okay, that's the real tragedy here.
and the real kicker is that I'm the one that gave them up because I was really so embarrassed by my selection. I voluntarily said, you know what, you're right. I take the reins.
Right.
Just take the reins, Bart. I can't do it. I can't be expected to pick anything good after I selected something so horrendously bad. So there you have it. Do not somehow, if you want to watch it, convince Andy it was like his idea.
Oh, I can do
my
that.
advice to you. Yeah. Make it like his idea, and so you don't have to take the blame. And then when it's bad, you're like, wow, babe, you picked a really crappy movie.
I'll give him 2 choices. I'll be like, do you want to watch The Notebook or Jurassic World Dominion?
Yeah, pick some really ridiculous rom-com or Jurassic Park.
And then, this was your choice. Okay.
Just let him walk into the trap. And so then you don't have to give up your movie choosing privileges.
All right. Good.
Look at us working together.
There you have it.
Figure that all out.
There you have it, folks. Trick your spouse.
Yeah, trick your spouse and partner into selecting not that movie or that movie. So you don't have to.
All right.
There you go.
I love it. Well, the one thing I will say about Jurassic World Dominion was the scenery was beautiful, and it was filmed here in Merritt. Merritt is also home of the Merritt Mountain Music Festival, so the town is known as the country music capital of Canada.
Somehow that doesn't seem to fit for me. I didn't realize there was country music in Canada, even though, I mean, there should be.
Okay, so I had the same exact response. I was like, why do I only associate country music with the States? And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so like close-minded. Like, what is wrong with me? But
I went through that entire cycle.
Mm-hmm. So good on you, Canada, for also liking country music. Bad on us for not being open-minded enough to know that.
I went on the same mental journey that you did, apparently. Right. I went, what?
That's right.
And then I'm like, wait, we don't own it. It's fine.
Right. But at its heart, Merritt is a ranching community, and there are several large cattle ranches in Merritt, including the Douglas Lake Ranch, which is the largest privately owned cattle ranch in Canada at over 700 acres and approximately 200,000 cattle. It's a lot of cows.
That's a lot of cows.
But the Niccolo Ranch, where Ben is managing, it's a large ranch in its own right, landing in the top 10 of privately owned cattle ranches in British Columbia. And it's one of the most historic, longest running ranches in the Nicola Valley. So this seems like it would be right up Ben's alley. When Ben took the position, he brought his 3 horses and 2 dogs, and he moved onto the property. That can be typical for this type of work, for ranchers to have lodging on the ranch. Do you watch Yellowstone? Did you watch Yellowstone?
I'm familiar with it, but no, I can't say I was an avid watcher.
Okay, I didn't think you were. Um, for anybody who watches Yellowstone, you probably can't help but to draw up pictures, scenes from Yellowstone as I'm describing this case. I'm sure that's nothing like what it really was, but it's all I can see is Yellowstone. Now, it appears that Ben was really enjoying his new position. On November 3rd, 2018, Ben shared a gorgeous photo of the Nicola Ranch to his Instagram with the caption, "Need to learn a bunch of new range? Try a 58-kilometer ride. Got a nice view of my new home, too." So,
Oh, I like that. Very positive.
very positive. You could tell, I definitely read that as like, oh, he's really excited. He's excited. And according to his family, Ben was settling in nicely and excited for his new adventure. But then in the early morning hours of January 28th, 2019, a group of forest industry workers saw something a little unusual. A riderless horse on the side of a logging road near Swackham Ridge.
Uh-oh.
Right. Now, the horse itself wasn't unusual. There were wild horses that ran free in this area. But this horse was fully tacked. This was a working horse. A local tracker named Kim Robinson was contacted to bring the horse in, and since there was no sign of the horse's rider, the local ranching community and the RCMP, or Royal Canadian Mounted Police, were notified. And it didn't take long to determine that this horse belonged to Ben Tyner. The Nicola Ranch was contacted, and that was the first time anyone realized that Ben was missing. You see, this was...
I think that would probably make sense, right? I mean, because he's out doing farm stuff.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. I agree with you. But even more so because this was a Monday morning when the horse was found. Like, I think found at like 5:30 in the morning. Ben was off on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that makes sense, right?
Right.
So I don't know that anyone, because of course, one of the first things you think is, wait, did somebody intentionally not report him as missing? But it seems like this one can be explained.
It can be. It's just when you aren't aware that someone's missing, it, I think, can make it a little harder to be like, okay, when did we last see him?
Oh, sure.
Those kinds of things, I definitely don't feel like there was any foul play in this case. But also, like, how long has he been missing? And nobody's even noticed. Nobody's reported it. We haven't been looking for him.
Sure.
So everyone put their heads together, and it was determined no one at the ranch had seen Ben. But a couple of his buddies did remember that earlier in the previous week, Ben had said he was thinking about going into the back country to look for stray cattle. Now, at the time he mentioned this, no one thought that he meant he was going to do this over the weekend, like on his days off. That is not what they thought would happen. But now, since his horse was found and he wasn't anywhere, that did become a concern. Was it possible he had gone out and then something happened to him while he was out there?
Yeah, I get that.
After further investigation, it was determined that Ben had last been seen on Saturday, January 26th, around 2 p.m. Now, we don't know where he was seen or who saw him. That information has never been released, but it has been confirmed Saturday at 2, he was last seen.
On his horse, I'm assuming?
Nope, that is not...
Okay.
I guess potentially, But we don't know
Okay.
the details. We don't know
We
the
don't know the
details.
details. He was seen on Saturday, but we don't know
Yeah.
if, like,
We don't know if it was at
that
a grocery store. We don't know if it
okay,
was on his horse. We don't know where.
okay, okay.
Saturday at 2, last seen. Horse was found Monday morning at 5:30. So, we have, a
There's a
day and a
big
half,
gap there.
a day and a half.
Yeah, big gap.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now let's talk about the horse. The horse had no injuries. It had no spur marks on its sides. The horse appeared to be in perfect condition except for the fact it was frightened and one rein was missing. So the fact that the horse had no injuries means there was probably no animal attack. The lack of spur marks means the horse probably didn't buck Ben off because he would have, you know,
Tried to grab on.
right.
Yeah.
After the horse was returned to the Nicola Ranch, Tammy Straya, the office manager, confirmed that the horse was in good condition, though perhaps a little scared. But she also said it was definitely Ben's horse and that it was a very gentle horse, further indicating Ben shouldn't have been at a high risk of getting thrown off or even left behind and, in any way that a horse might leave their rider.
And again, he's a very experienced horseman too. So even if the horse was a little spooky, he would have not only known that horse since he was his horse, but he would have known how to kind of navigate one of those situations. Not saying that something couldn't have happened and he was caught unaware, but it's unlikely, I would think.
Right. I feel like nobody needs to get lost out in the wilderness in January in British Columbia, north Canada, but if anybody's going to, this is someone you'd have a lot of confidence in, right?
Yeah. I mean, nature's going to be naturing though.
Right. Exactly. And because of that, police and emergency responders wasted no time. I mean, this is a serious situation. So they immediately began searching for Ben. Again, this was January in British Columbia. It's cold, and this year was especially cold. So for a man to be out in the wilderness, potentially injured, this could get really bad really quickly. But everyone did have a lot of confidence in Ben. He wasn't a reckless man. He was very professional. He was proficient in what he did. So the general assumption was that something must have happened to separate Ben from his horse, and he was probably out there lost or injured. Nearly 40 search and rescue members were on site Monday evening, along with dog services, snowmobiles, and air support. And I was actually a little surprised to learn this is a pretty unusual situation. So apparently it is not typical. It doesn't happen very often where you find a horse having lost its rider, which is good. But I would have imagined that with as many people out there riding horses and the kind of terrain this is, I would have thought maybe that happened more often than I guess it does. So I thought that was interesting that this was actually really unusual.
I mean, I don't know statistics on it, but I can't say I've ever heard of it happening. So I would assume it happens fairly infrequently, but yeah, I don't know.
I just know every time I'm on a horse, I feel like I'm about to fall off. So I guess I'm just taking my own personal experience into account. Drones were deployed. A lot of the local ranchers searched on horseback, along with employees from a local lumber mill and the Lower Nicola Indian Band. But even with this giant force, the rescue effort had a lot going against it. There had been recent logging going on in the area and a lot of wild horse activity. So any potential tracks were destroyed. In an effort to mitigate any further damage to any potential evidence, authorities asked the public not to participate in the search because they may unknowingly cause more of a hindrance. Searches of the Swackham Ridge, where Ben's horse was found, continued throughout the week. But this was a large area, so this was a very daunting task. The original theory was that Ben had left the ranch on horseback, but over time, that theory changed. Searchers were unable to find any tracks coming from the ranch. In addition to this being a very difficult route to have taken, so authorities began to believe perhaps Ben and his horse had been driven to the ridge using a truck and a horse trailer.
Huh. Okay. Like he would have driven his horse and then gotten on the horse?
Potentially but if he had done that, then you would have found his truck and trailer. His truck and trailer were not missing, but I guess there would have
Oh.
been a truck and trailer missing. There's not been one reported. So I think the theory is more that somebody else drove him.
But
And the
no
horse
one has
was dead.
come forward
Nobody's
saying
come
that
forward
they did
saying they
that.
did that.
Ooh, that's weird.
It is weird. And I don't even really know how they got to this conclusion, other than I know the terrain was rough and there wasn't any sign that he had traveled, this area. But other than that, I'm not even sure why authorities came to this conclusion. Merritt RCMP spokesperson Constable Tracy Dunsmore said, quote, "There is still some question as to how he got up here and whether someone drove him up with a truck and trailer. We haven't located that person yet, so we are looking for that information. The RCMP are also asking for people to search their dash cams for any evidence of a truck and trailer making its way into the Swackham Ridge area." End quote.
Yeah, so his truck and trailer are not missing.
Right.
Oh. Okay. All right. Weird.
When Ben's family arrived in Merritt, his parents went up in a helicopter to survey the area, while Jack went on horseback with Ben's dogs. And the whole family is very proficient in this lifestyle. Jack is a professional rodeo rider. And it was Jack who found the first piece of real evidence:
Oh.
Ben's broken rein laying on the ground.
Yes. Go Jack.
Right? I was like, of course, leave it to the Tyner family,
Yeah.
Now, there are two theories as to how this rein could have potentially been broken. It could have been broken if Ben was bucked off the horse, although,
Sure.
remember, there's no marks on the horse, and it would have been outside of this horse's nature, so that doesn't
Seems
really...
unlikely again.
Right.
Yeah.
But the rein could have also been broken if the horse had been tied to something and struggled to get free and pulled hard enough to have broken that rein.
Sure.
Now, remember, the Tyner family, they know how dangerous this type of situation can be. And it appears that almost immediately they felt that Ben would not be coming home, because Jack posted to his Facebook, quote, "I don't have the words. I try to find comfort in the fact that the range he is riding up above is more beautiful than any of us can imagine. Everything every cowboy dreams of. One day I pray to God I will get to join him and ride with him once more. God could not have a better cowboy to watch his herd. You were such a huge inspiration in my life, and you are forever in my heart. I know you will protect, guide, and watch over us all. It was a privilege to ride with you, big brother." End quote. Whew.
Ooh.
I know.
Well, that is a lot. That is a lot. It also seems, I mean, they moved pretty quickly. But do you have an idea? I hate to ask you just off the cuff, but do you have an idea of what the weather specifically was during this time? I mean, we're talking about like negative temperatures. This is not something that's super survivable, right?
Yeah, we're in the negatives. It got down to in Fahrenheit. It got down to like negative 0.4, just in some areas,
Okay.
and then I think it was
Okay.
negative 11 in some of the, like, maybe on the mountaintops. So
Okay.
very, very cold, very, very cold.
Yeah. So I see why I see how they got there so quickly. Because there's just not a lot of things that could have kept him alive. There aren't a lot of theories that would end with him being alive and being reunited with them.
Well, and I think they know, okay, for him to have been missing, for there to be no sign of him, for his horse to be in the condition that it's in. I just think they know that in order for us to be in the circumstances that we're finding ourselves in, something really, really wrong happened. And even if he had survived the initial event that separated him from the horse, now it's been days.
Right.
Just out here
Exactly.
potentially just laying in the snow,
Yeah. Not great.
Not great. Now, 2 days later at a press conference, Jack would say, quote, "I have difficulty finding words to express the sadness and loss our family is feeling. When I look at what Ben accomplished during his short time here, I'm blown away. He touched so many lives on his way to accomplishing his dreams. That is truly amazing. His laughter will never ring through our home again. His strong handshake, bear hug, and his deep voice are gone. And my family still has no answers, no closure. My family and I are asking for your help." He went on to say that if anyone had any information that could help them find Ben, they would be forever grateful. 7 days after Ben was reported missing, the search for him was suspended as temperatures dropped to negative 18 Celsius. That's the negative 0.4. And
Yeah.
the conditions faced by the teams who were dropped off by helicopter at the higher elevations, they were as low as negative 24 degrees Celsius, which is negative 11.2 in Fahrenheit. So obviously the conditions were incredibly icy and dangerous for searchers. So if they won't even allow searchers to go out in groups, well equipped, I mean, I think that says a lot about one lone man out there.
Sure.
Tragically, the Tyner family had to make that unimaginable trip back to Wyoming without their brother, without their son. And making this trip even more painful was the fact that they had to pack up all of Ben's belongings and bring his truck and trailer back to Wyoming along with his 3 horses and 2 dogs. I can only imagine how totally bizarre and awful that would be to literally have to pack up your loved one's things and have no idea what actually really happened to them. I mean, and this all happened just so completely unexpectedly. It's just horrendous. It's just horrendous. Horrendous. Now, speaking of Ben's dogs, okay, in reality, I don't know much about cowboying, but don't tell anyone.
She said it. She said it.
Don't tell anyone. But from what I learned doing my research on this case, if Ben had planned to go out in the backcountry to do some camping, even just recreational camping or searching for those lost cattle, whatever, he probably would have brought his dogs. So the fact that his dogs were left behind may tell us something. Ben had one dog specifically. This dog was named Sue, who it's believed he absolutely would have taken with him if he'd gone out looking for those cattle. So this is something to think about.
And I'm sorry, I don't think camping's that a big deal this time of year. I mean, like, people don't go camping in the winter in Canada, do they? Is that a thing?
Probably not, but I don't think Ben lives the typical lifestyle.
Yikes. Okay.
I mean, I didn't see anything where it was like, yeah, and he liked to go camping alone in the freezing temperatures. But at the same time, like, he's talking about potentially heading out into the backcountry to find missing cattle, which would require camping. I'm assuming that's more than just an hour-long trip. I mean, it's a...
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. Also, it seems like you would take someone with you. And obviously, I know there are situations like I can think of people going out and camping for like ice fishing and things like that, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. This just doesn't seem to fit as something you would do like spur of the moment.
Well, and I'm with you. I don't think that's what he did here for many reasons, some of which I'm going to get into in a few minutes. So I don't think that's what he did. But part of the reason why nobody thinks that's what he did is because his dogs were left home.
Yeah. Okay.
But we can't ignore the fact that his horse is out there. So,
Oh, sure. Fully tacked.
right. So it feels like he was out there doing something. It feels like he was.
Yeah.
Now, when the Tyner family first left Merritt, Jennifer stayed in weekly contact with the RCMP, and the case was still being worked on despite the active search of the ridge being paused for the winter. The Wyoming Senator, Mike Enzi, was very helpful in getting the FBI and State Department involved in assisting the RCMP. And at some point during the ongoing investigation, it was determined that Ben did not go missing on Saturday like was originally believed. The RCMP announced they now believed Ben went missing on Sunday instead of Saturday afternoon, saying they have details as to where he was Saturday night.
Well, as far as I was concerned, with at least the information that you gave me, it could have been anywhere from Sunday or Saturday afternoon to say Monday morning that he was out there. Really, I mean, the early mornings, like the wee hours of Monday morning. Because we weren't really sure based on the sighting, was he on his horse? Was he at the store? Like you said, so that would have given more time for him to get in the situation he found himself in.
Right? Right?
But does that change the outcome though? I mean, the fact is that doesn't really change a lot for me, whether he went missing on Saturday or Sunday. The facts of the case are still the facts, as in they're not sure how he got up there, but he was up there with his horse, and now he's more than likely frozen to death. So I'm interested to know what this changes for them
Well,
as far as the investigation.
they have not released the details as to what they know he was doing Saturday night. So we don't know what it is that makes them say, no, he was here, wherever here is on Saturday night. But what it does do is it narrows down the timeline for when whatever happened to about 24 hours. So they still believe that Ben was probably driven up to where the horse was found. But now, we're talking sometime Sunday. So the earliest it could have been, let's say it was early hours Sunday morning. So Sunday morning, the horse is found 5:30 Monday morning. So now we're just looking at 24-hour period of time where something could have happened.
Okay, gotcha.
Searches continued throughout the winter as the weather allowed, but really resumed.
It was the window of
That's
winter.
right. Searches continued throughout the winter as the weather allowed, but really resumed in full force when things began melting off in the spring.
Yeah.
And once again, these were big searches. Everyone in the area came together to make this happen. And I thought this was really interesting and something I hadn't thought of. This is something Stephanie would think of. You're smart like this, but I wouldn't have thought of this. Okay, so with all of these people coming together in Merritt, not only did they have to make accommodations for all the additional people, they had to make accommodations for all the additional horses. I would have never have thought of that ever. But so it was actually like a really big project to make these accommodations for all these people coming in to help.
Yeah, it's funny. I love going through. So we have a city, maybe 45 minutes, an hour north of us, in called Ocala, and there's a huge national forest. So you may be familiar if you're listening from somewhere else in the States, Ocala National Forest, and it is known for having a lot of horse people, a lot of horse shows, a lot of horse breeders, a lot of competitions, and many of the hotels have stalls for horses. So if you are driving down the interstate, they will say, and these are brands you would recognize. So it's like the Courtyard, and it'll say includes stables. So you can house your horse there as you're coming and going. So that's the only thing that would have made it stand out to me, because I had the same thought whenever I saw the billboards, whatever, 15 years ago. And I was like, oh, right. Because if you're going to stay the night, what are you going to do with your horse?
Right.
So I thought that was just so fascinating. So yeah, I could see that. I could see that being an issue.
Yeah. Especially when you're talking like hundreds of
Yeah.
people, hundreds of horses. A lot.
Yeah.
Now, these searches were led by the Southeast District Major Crimes Unit and the Merritt RCMP, and they included air service, police dogs, and the RCMP's underwater recovery team. So they are really looking
Mm,
under every nook and cranny. But
mhm.
I mean, let's be honest, this is like, talk about like out in the wilderness. Like, it's a needle in a haystack. It really is.
Yep, yep.
We just talked on our Patreon episode about Lynn Messer, a woman who went missing on her own property.
A
And
big
it was
property.
a big property, but not to give, spoilers if you haven't listened to that episode, maybe, click forward 30 seconds, but she was found years later on her own property in areas searched. And we had a whole discussion about how bodies can really just hide, especially in an environment like this, just out.
Yes. Yes. And this one I would think would even be harder because you have more, wild animals and, scavengers, that nature.
Right. Now, do you remember Kim Robinson, the tracker who was brought in to capture Ben's horse?
Yep.
All right, so he had some opinions on the way this search was going. And this guy has a pretty impressive resume, if you ask me. Kim was the guy who had tracked down a man named Alan Schonborn back in 2008. Alan was wanted for stabbing his 3 children, and it was Kim, I know, scary. It was Kim who tracked him down and captured him. So, at least in my
Oh,
opinion, this guy like seems to know what he's doing. To me, that's like a movie. Like, people really do that. That only happens
yeah.
in Western movies.
Yeah, or like bounty hunter shows.
Right. Well, Kim's doing the thing. But Kim made a statement. He said, quote, I told search and rescue up there, don't waste your time and energy looking in this direction because a horse did not come from the Nicola Ranch side of the mountain. Kim went on to say, that horse would have had to have flown from Nicola Ranch to get where I found him without leaving a track. I would say it's almost 100% impossible for anybody to leave that ranch and try and hide their tracks and be successful. End quote. So,
Well, I don't know anything about anything, but I believe what that guy says.
right. But it sounds like Kim doesn't even think the searchers are looking in the right area. And of course, the majority of the searches did focus right on that ridge where the horse was found. I mean, that makes sense, right? The horse was there. Seems like a good place to start when you're literally talking a needle in a haystack. But according to Kim, it's not the right place. Now, sadly, no sign of Ben was found, but the RCMP would make a shocking announcement. Sergeant Shoya said, quote, early on, investigators required assistance from major crime detectives. But until this week, police had said there was no indication of foul play. Now, having had the opportunity to review all of the pieces, we believe that the circumstances surrounding Mr. Tyner's disappearance may involve criminality. End quote.
Oh. I mean, one thing we haven't talked about, which I don't know fits, but I think it's worth talking about, is, well, no, because nobody's reported their truck or trailer's been missing. Because I was thinking, what if he staged his own disappearance? What if he tacked up the horse, drove up there, dropped off the horse, and tied it to something and drove off into the Canadian sunset? But he would have had to driven off in something. So what would that have been? Obviously it wasn't his truck and trailer. It wasn't his employer's truck and trailer. So, but if it's criminal, could he have run into the wrong person? They killed him. That person, disposed of his body and then drove up and left the horse. I guess that's a possibility too.
We are going to talk theories in a minute. And honestly, when I was compiling the theories, I did not even include the theory that Ben staged his own death or took his own life.
It just doesn't seem to fit at all. It really doesn't. It sounds like he had a real zest for life and a lot of things going for him. And he wasn't afraid of making changes. So it doesn't seem to fit. But again, I'm just trying to think because nothing really fits. Right.
Right.
So I'm just grasping at straws. So I see why you omitted that one. Yeah, weird. Okay, so now criminality may be involved.
Criminality, and in some reports, they go on to say they believe that Ben was the victim of homicide.
Oh, dang. Okay.
And we don't know how they got there.
Yeah.
But that
well, the fact that no one has admitted to driving him up there and dropping him off seems extremely suspicious to me. Because I don't believe he rode up there. I think he was dropped off there. I think that makes the most sense. And the fact that no one said they did it, I mean, that's very telling, right?
I literally almost have that exact statement in my script.
Like,
in
to
just
me,
a minute, like
that's the thing.
right.
Like, that's it. That's the thing.
If it was innocent, if I just drove you somewhere, why not just be like, well, I drove her here. Or
Yep.
he asked me to do this. No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. Be like, well, he wanted to go look for those cattle. I dropped him off. He said he would make his way back.
Right.
That's all. Like, that's all you have to say.
Right.
So
Don't know
the
what
fact that
happened.
no one's come forward to say that, sus.
Very, very. Well, Ben's family runs the Missing Ben Tyner Facebook group, and they made the following post. Quote, Ben did not take his phone nor his dog, nor did he tell anyone that he was going out for a ride other than days earlier when it was mentioned that he would be going out looking for stray cattle. This action was not typical of Ben to leave and not tell someone. Since this has happened, our CMP have deemed the case suspicious and it may involve criminality. They feel Ben did not leave on his own accord. This case has been turned over to the Special Major Crimes Unit. The investigation has centered around the ranch itself. The investigation is still very much active, even though we as a group feel it's not. So if Ben was the victim of some kind of criminal act, which I think is kind of what makes the most sense, then I think the big question would be why? Because Ben was a likable guy. He worked hard. He was even keeled. He didn't have a temper. He wasn't a drug user. He didn't have a lot of debt. He was a man of faith. He loved his family. He was relatively new in the town of Merritt, but he'd made connections and he was well liked, even in and around Merritt. He was not dating anyone at the time that he went missing, at least not as far as anybody knows. What motive is there to hurt Ben?
Maybe it was some ex-ranch hand that didn't like being replaced, or someone who had beef with maybe the ranch owner. Yeah, curious. I don't know.
Well, I mentioned Yellowstone at the top of this episode. If this were an episode of Yellowstone, I mean, there'd be tons of motives and tons of suspects, right? But this is real life. There just didn't seem to be any drama. But let's talk theories. Let's talk motive. Let's see what we can. Let's see if we can come up
Is
with
there
something.
anything that you haven't that we haven't kind of talked about?
Maybe.
And I'm not. I mean, oh well, tell me those
Okay.
because at this point, I mean, I'm kind of grasping at straws here.
Okay. Well, I think we can probably rule out the original theory that Ben had gone out to look for strays. The fact he
Yeah,
didn't take Sue, he didn't tell anyone he was going.
yeah,
Okay. Uh he didn't have a cell phone. I think now some people might say, well, you're a cowboy, you wouldn't take your cell phone out. But I did listen to the True North True Crime episode on this case. They got a lot of really like great information. And something they brought up I thought made a lot of sense. You know, they referenced that Instagram post that he made back on November 3rd, I think it was. So at least sometimes when Ben went out for a ride, he had his phone with him because he was able to take that picture. This time
sure.
he
And
left his
I
phone.
think again, this is only 6 years ago. I think it's pretty normal, I guess, just to carry around your phone. You just stick it in your pocket.
I
You
would
shouldn't even
think
really think
so.
about it.
I mean, I
Yeah,
was thinking, okay, well, he's a cowboy. There may or may not even be reception. Like, would a cowboy keep their phone on them? But I think, given his age, given how we grew up, given you'd what, even just for the camera. I mean, what if you come across something amazing you want to take a picture of? So I'm
yeah,
with you. So for all those reasons, I think we can rule out the fact that he just went for a ride.
yeah. I think I'm there. Yeah.
Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but just to help paint an even clearer picture, sunset at this time of the year was at 4:47 p.m. So it's
Hmm.
also really short days. It's getting really
Yeah.
dark. So I would assume anything he did do, anything, if he did go out at all, you'd go out closer, you'd go out early.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, if we go with what seems to be the authorities' main theory that Men was driven up to the ridge, you brought up a great point. No one's come forward, which
Yeah.
I mean, enough said. That's really suspicious. So I believe if someone took him up there in a vehicle, whoever it was, either is the person responsible for his disappearance or is affiliated with the person responsible. That's my personal belief.
Yep.
Now, there are a lot of lawsuits and such that fly around in the ranching industry, everything from land disputes to cows mating with other ranches' cows. And in 2013, the Nicola Ranch was involved in a lawsuit because their bulls kept escaping and mating with the neighbors' cows, which
Bull's gonna be bulling.
I know. And I was trying to figure out, again, not really knowing much about cowboying. I was trying to figure out, well, who sued who? Because, like, you get like free husbandry, right? Like, if you're the ranch with the female cows, wouldn't you kind of appreciate like you're getting free baby cows? But then I thought maybe not. I
No.
don't know. I don't know how it works.
No. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on kind of the aim of the ranch, but you want a specific bloodline. Maybe
Oh.
your bull is better than their bull. Maybe you want whatever specific genetics out of your bull. Also timing. There's a lot that goes into
Mm,
timing of breeding your cows because you want them to calve during a certain time of year. And
okay.
if they calve at the wrong time of year, you're kind of screwed. They're not producing milk at the right time, or worse yet, they're, giving birth at the wrong time of year, like weather wise.
Mm.
So then the
So like
calves are going to
now in
freeze again.
January when
Yes, you don't want your calves dropping, during the coldest months of the year. So there could be a lot of different reasons. Also, just keep your bull over there.
yeah.
I mean, bulls can be dangerous. You can also think about that. So, um, or there's a potential that, maybe it wasn't because it wasn't being supervised. He could have injured one of the cows.
Mm,
That can happen too. So I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think most of it is probably just timing and bloodline. But
that makes
um
that
yeah, I mean, because now you've lost out on whatever that cow was going to produce.
well, and I thought it was interesting. I was just like, I would be curious to like read the details of this complaint just because what was the problem here? Because I will say this, Nicola Ranch, I think it was 2021 or 2022, they actually were awarded some award. This isn't in my script, but they were awarded some award for having like the award-winning Black Angus. So they had some nice bulls.
Okay. Well, then the neighboring ranch got that award-winning free deposits. I don't
Right.
know.
But there was a lawsuit. All that to say, there was a lawsuit back in 2013 involving the Nicola Ranch. In 2017, less than a year before Ben arrived at the Nicola Ranch, there were some cutbacks resulting in some employee layoffs. Now, apparently, the ranch cut their hay production, and as a result, 9 people were laid off. And as you can imagine, there was some upset with this. One person commented on a news article about the layoff, saying that they'd found themselves unemployed after 25 years. And, what are they going to do now? That was just one of several, murmurings that a lot of people were unhappy. But it seems like the Nicola Ranch did what they could in an effort to fix the situation. They made a deal with another company to employ 5 of the 9 employees who had lost their job.
Okay.
So they did have some complaints in their past, but nothing that was current and nothing that it seems like they tried to fix, the most recent situation
None
with
of
the
those
layoff.
seem like alarming red flags.
Right. But you still have to ask the questions. Could someone have hurt Ben as retaliation for something that had to do with the ranch?
And he was relatively new, though, right?
Well,
Like,
that's
he wouldn't have even been there when the bull escaped and when the layoffs happened.
no,
He wouldn't even have been there.
he wouldn't have. He'd only been working for 3 months at the time that he disappeared.
So it's not like somebody could say, well, you're the reason I got fired, or you're the one that didn't close the gate to the bull. Like, none of that has anything to do with him.
I mean, I guess, and I've seen I don't even know who was the manager before Ben came along, but I guess let's say that there was a manager who got fired and then Ben replaced this person. Okay, I guess maybe they might be able to be like, you're the person who took my job. I've never seen that reported anywhere. But that's the only thing that I can think of. But again, he'd been there for 3 months and he wasn't the kind of person who was going to make enemies. So for someone to want to hurt him, it just didn't make a lot of sense. Unless you think that Ben may have upset a certain arsonist. So, roughly 2 weeks before Ben's disappearance, Merritt Church, which had been in service for 143 years, was burnt down as the result of arson. And Ben Tyner was interviewed by CBC News. In this interview, Ben said, quote, "Well, it's tragic, really. The church had been a landmark here for well over 100 years. It was a historic point for the area. It was one of the oldest churches in BC, but I know a lot of people have told me before what this church meant to them. I know they put a lot of work into restoring it. I think it's just a very tragic and senseless act that I think has been very devastating to a lot of the local people." End quote. No one can say for sure whether or not the arson is in any way related.
It's not like he named them.
No one can say for sure, but Ben did make this statement and disappeared 15 days later.
Had he reported he was being harassed or that someone had identified him or
No.
anything? You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a strange correlation.
It is. I'm with you. And the arsonist, 37-year-old August David Caprian, was captured and faced 3 charges of arson along with the charge of break and enter with intent to commit an offense. August was released on bail January 20th. So technically, August was released from jail at the time that Ben went missing, But in my opinion, this is probably just more of a strange coincidence than anything else. But it is one thing that you will sometimes see pop up. Um, Even on Reddit, like I read an article about this arson, and like, at the top it had a little statement that said this portion of this article was originally left out, but after comments were made, we decided to include it, in the story about Ben Steiner or Ben Tyner. I'm sorry.
I don't
So
know. I'm not feeling that one.
I don't either.
It's just I feel like we're really reaching.
Right. Here's what I think happened, and it still is going to leave us with a bunch of questions, but here's what I think happened. I think Ben must have ran into something or seen something that he shouldn't have seen. I feel like this is absolutely a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I'm not convinced it even whatever he saw happened on the day he went missing. But I feel like at some point he saw something and it put a target on his back. I feel like it's probably possible that, we don't know where he was Saturday night. Like, was he out at a bar? Was he drinking? Was he seen at this bar and then never made it home? And a bunch of guys grabbed him and then grabbed his horse and like used the horse. Cause some people think the horse is like a red herring.
Oh, I
Some,
think it is too.
yeah, some people think his
I think it
horse was
totally is.
left there to throw everything off, make it look like an accident.
Oh, that's me. I'm totally in that camp. So it had to have been a time that the horse was tacked, that Ben had tacked it. So I don't know if that's Saturday night. I don't know if that's Sunday. And the fact that the police have not disclosed what he was doing on Saturday makes me think that someone he ran into that night is a suspect and they just can't pin it yet.
I think that's fair because they are holding a lot close to the vest, but yet they're coming out and saying we believe that his disappearance is a result of criminality. We believe he's probably the result of a homicide. So they probably know more than they're telling us. Um, that to me is the only thing that really makes any sense. Because I don't think he was involved in anything dangerous or
I don't get that
illegal.
feeling.
So I think
He
he
had
just
barely even moved there. How could he fall for the
right.
wrong crowd?
Right, and he was like a good guy. He was just like a
Yeah.
nice guy, and
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like there's a chance that whatever it was he saw, if that's what happened, like he would have just kept on walking and never said a word. Because I don't necessarily think it happened the night he went missing. Because that would have been like too much. Like, I don't know, for him to have seen whatever he saw, or I don't know, what if he just was at a bar and got in a bar fight and these guys just really or hated him, or maybe I don't know, was he at the bar flirting with some girl and one of the guys didn't like it and they said, "Oh, we're going to kill him and then we're going to steal his horse and make it look like an accident." I mean, I guess that's possible, but I feel like it was something like that where it was just wrong place, wrong time.
That's my feeling too. That's my feeling too. He just got sideways with the wrong people.
Mhm.
And I think the horse is a red herring. I think they staged that, whoever it was. And that could have been anybody with a horse trailer.
Yeah.
And I imagine up here that most people have horse trailers.
Oh,
So
yeah, sure.
yeah.
Now
I don't think he's up there. Like I don't think he's there.
oh, you don't? You think he's just totally? Because I think he could have been buried out I think I don't know that I feel like the horse was taken out there alone. I feel like maybe they could have driven him up there along with the horse, killed him, buried him, thrown him in a lake, whatever, and then just left the horse. I feel like the horse could have gone up at the same time as him, potentially. I
That's
don't know.
possible, but wouldn't need to.
Wouldn't
Why
need
wouldn't
to.
you just somewhere else and then take and tie the horse
Right. Wouldn't
on
need
Sunday
to.
morning? But then between Sunday and Monday, the horse breaks free and is found, next to this road. So
Yeah. No, true. Wouldn't need to. Wouldn't need to at all. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Ben is not the only man to go missing from this area in British Columbia. There have been an unusually high number of men going missing in British Columbia's interior region. Some of these men have been found, or their vehicles have been found, burnt out. And I thought this was interesting because, like, that's interesting. Like, Ben's horse was found. These men's vehicles are being found burnt out, leading people to believe that there was, probably some foul play. There was even another ranch worker in Merritt who went missing in 2013. Now, police have been asked if there's any connection between any of these missing men, and they said that they have looked into it, but at this point, no official connection has been made. But there is a very unusually high number of men going missing from that area in like a relatively short period of time. Like, and don't quote me on this, but I want to say like 6 men went missing in like a period of like 4 years.
Yeah, I would want to know all the circumstances because maybe that's just a coincidence. What they're doing is not easy. And it certainly includes the possibility of injury and peril. I mean, they're out in the wilderness.
Right.
So now if they all disappeared under very suspicious circumstances, then that's, that would be something to look into for sure.
Right. And I will say, I did a quick overview of some of these men. I saw some similarities. I saw some differences. Like there's one that I personally think could have potentially taken their own life, but then there's others that I'm like, okay, they just walked into the woods and were never seen again. But
interesting.
Weird, yeah. Now, the Tyner family originally offered a $15,000 reward for any information that led to the whereabouts of Ben Tyner. With a generous donation from Nicola ranch owner John Liu, the reward was raised to $30,000 in March of 2021. And I want to leave you with this quote from Ben's mom. She made this quote on the Missing Ben Tyner Facebook page. On August 25th of this year, so this was literally 2 weeks ago from the day we're recording this episode, she wrote, quote, "A cowboy knows that life is more than surviving. It's about thriving. I love this quote. It defines Ben in every way. Today is Ben's 38th birthday. We mourn the fact that we're not together to celebrate. It pains me to think that Ben could have accomplished so much in these last 6.5 years, yet someone took that away from him. Nothing ever stopped Ben from what he wanted to do. He would see an opportunity and he would run with it. When he told us, he didn't ask us. He was going to Russia to teach them about the cattle operation. We were stunned. He had everything all set up before we knew anything. It was an exciting adventure for him and a great opportunity to teach others as well as learn from them. That was Ben. When there were fires in eastern Montana and people needed help moving their cows, Ben was on his way. He didn't know anyone up there, but he knew they needed help. That was Ben. Ben taught himself how to make whips and ropes and chaps. He would watch YouTube videos and practice and practice. He worked hard at making them and always wanted them to be just right. That was Ben. We think about where Ben could be right now if he were here. We know he would be thriving, doing something he loved. We know he would be helping anyone who needed help. We know he would be perfecting anything he was working on. We have had limited contact with our CMP. They have no new updates on Ben. It's quite frustrating for us, and I keep praying that someone, somewhere, will finally come forward and tell us what happened. Your continued thoughts and prayers, your support and strength throughout this whole ordeal is a huge blessing to us. We thank you wholeheartedly for hanging in there with us as we journey through this painful situation. Live like Ben."
What an incredible family.
Mm-hmm.
All the way around.
All
what
the
an
way
incredible
around.
family. Yeah. My heart just breaks for them. My heart just breaks for them. I feel like police know something, and I'm really hoping that we are around when the case cracks open, because I think it's possible.
I do too. The fact that it's only been 6 years, I think there's still potential that we could find his body, or that police will eventually get the evidence they need if they do know who's responsible, and that person can be brought to justice. I do think that because of the, just the amount of time that's gone by, that we could still get answers. I also think it's like a needle in a haystack if we're just literally looking for somebody out in the middle of 600-acre ranch or beyond. But I think, it's possible. And one of the reasons I've learned in doing this podcast, I'm like, oh, I kind of like the more recent cases, because I feel like we actually have a higher chance of potentially having resolution one day, which is like the big goal, right? I mean, let's find out what happened to these people.
Sure.
So, and
Sure.
this is one I would really love to get answers to
This
for
one makes
Ben
me
and his family.
sad.
It's very sad. It's very sad. And if you look at pictures of Ben, he you could just tell he was like a teddy bear. He was just a nice guy, big
Yeah.
smile. Just makes me really sad. Ben Tyner was last seen in the area of the Nicola Ranch around January 26th, 2019. At the time of his disappearance, Ben was a 32-year-old Caucasian man living in Merritt, British Columbia. He was 6'4", 230 pounds, with brown eyes and brown hair with a beard.
Oh, Ben, where are you? And what happened to you? All right. Well, I'm going to talk about Branch of Hope. Interestingly, I don't know that we've ever had a scenario where our Branch of Hope is such a switch from the case that we're covering, but we're literally going from talking about a missing cowboy in British Columbia in January to talking about the Galapagos Conservancy. So that's a little bit of a switch. So get your tropical hat on now.
Take your coat off, your cowboy hat off, and get your sun visor on.
Exactly. So the Galapagos Conservancy, obviously we talked about in the Galapagos affair last week, which, oh my gosh, did we have fun recording that episode. Incredible. The Baroness, right, Cynthia? It's always
Oh,
the Baroness.
I have to get her face on a t-shirt. I have been thinking about it all week.
Yes. I've still been looking for an opportunity to use the phrase servile gigolos. It hasn't come up yet, but I'm still looking. Oh boy, but the Galapagos Conservancy protects and restores the Galapagos Islands through direct conservation action and strategic grant funding. They invest in the most urgent efforts to rewild ecosystems, save endangered species, and build a sustainable future for the islands. And this is when I tell you the list of animals that they've helped. Last year, they supported the native albatross, the Galapagos petrels, the pink iguana, the yellow land iguana, giant tortoises, sea lions, hammerhead sharks, the heart leaf scalecia, and more. So if your heart is in conservation and preserving these just unique bits of wildlife and nature for future generations, then this is the month to join our Patreon, because a portion of your subscription is going to go to the Galapagos Conservancy, and also, more entries for the quilt.
That's right. It's
You
a
would not need
win-win.
in the Galapagos. Yeah, you would not need the quilt in the Galapagos, but you'll definitely going to need an Edgar Allan Poe quilt if you're in British Columbia. So,
And we have
noted.
listeners in British Columbia, so
Sure do. You're going to want this. You're going to want it. And like I said, it's as soon as I post pictures, you'll see it's not Halloweeny. It's just it's the right amount of wrong.
Oh yeah, I would totally keep this out year long. It's because it's also, I like elegance. I feel like
Mhm.
I like a refinement. It's like
Mhm.
elegant too.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's like elegant, it's spooky, it's a little macabre.
Spooky. Yeah.
And it's handmade with love from Stephanie. I mean,
It's true. It's true. Actually, my kids may try to get some seams in there. Apparently, they think now I need to teach them how to sew. And I'm like, I just learned. Can I just enjoy my handicraft without interruption? And to that, they said, nay,
n- nevermore.
never, never,
Nevermore. Now,
never will we not interrupt you.
are you sewing, like, when you say sewing, are you using, like, a sewing machine, or are you, like, sewing like this, like, with the needle and stuff?
Mostly machine.
Okay.
It's mostly gonna be my machine. So the process essentially is cutting. So you have
Mhm.
to cut all the panels, all the things you wanna put together, and then you run them through the machine, and you put a few pieces together, and then you put more pieces until you have your whole quilt topper assembled. And then you make a little quilt sandwich with the top, the batting in the middle, which makes it nice and cozy, and then the bottom, and then you sew that all together, and then you put the little stitching on the outside, and then I'm gonna put our little dark oak signature on it.
Oh, good. We figured out you of course. I
Yeah.
texted her not long ago, and it's like, "What'd be really cute is if it had, like, our little logo and it said, like, made by Stephanie from the or something like that." I shoulda known. She's already thought of that.
Yeah. I got it. I got it. I figured it out. On it.
What's the quote I texted you not long ago? "Every type B personality needs a type A bestie."
Done and
She's got
done.
it.
Yeah. It's gonna be really fun. I'm really excited about it. I don't know if it'll be a tradition. I don't know if it's an annual thing, but I'm loving it for this year. A lot of fun.
I'm loving it too. I'm loving it
Yeah.
too. We've even had people ask if they can enter their dog in the Patreon, uh, for an extra, and if their dog drops their name, do they get a second,
Yeah.
hey, if it's a Patreon account, I say let's count it.
We are animal lovers,
Mhm.
so never put it past us.
That's right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Stephanie, you know what you're bringing with us for us next week?
I am. It's a missing person. Not sure if I'm going to give out too much more information here, but it's a fairly well-known missing persons case by the last name of Calico. So,
Why do I know this is not ringing a bell, but this, wow, words, Cynthia, words.
let me see here.
Something I do know a
Um,
calico, but I can't a missing,
it's totally weird.
but I don't know if I'm familiar with it. I might be like
I was working on a few different scripts here, so oops, sorry.
Tara
Tara Calico.
Calico. Was
There
she
we
on a
go.
bike?
Yeah.
Was she on a bike?
I'm not gonna give it all away.
Okay, alright. I think I know this one, but I always love it when Stephanie brings a case that I am familiar with because she always finds stuff I've never heard. So I'm super
I
excited.
think both of us really try. That's always our goal. Well, first of all, our goal is to make sure we're only reporting facts of the case,
Right,
not just things that we heard or things that come through the rumor mill or grapevine.
right.
But then we always try to find a little something, a little nugget in there. So I'm going to try to do the same thing.
Cool. Alright, listeners. Next
All
week,
right,
you can see our
friends.
faces again. You can see the ship sink. Next week, we're gonna
Cynthia.
do it while my kids are in school, though, so we won't have that, but
I had a cat. I don't know that it's equivalent, but
show showing all the stuffies. Look.
I know. It's so cute. What were their names again? So we
Okay,
got a hamburger
so
that was hammy.
yeah, the hamburger was hammy, and it's like a dolphin dressed up as, like, a pink dolphin, and its name is Dolphy. So Dolphy
So
and
great.
Hammy. All the names, that child in particular, like, if it's a hat, its name will be Hattie. If it's a banana, his name will be Nanny. And I love it because it helps me remember all the names.
Simple is best.
That's right.
KISS.
That's right.
All right, lovelies. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.